Hello Cherries fans, and welcome to this impromptu video on Cherries Extra. I hope you are all okay on this Monday morning. I thought I'd do something on Cherries Extra. Please do make sure you like, subscribe and hit the bell on this channel. Also do make sure that you visit our main channel, UTC IAD, which of course has got loads of videos on there, had the free-for-all. Also had the shows with Harry Redknapp, so please do go check that out and hit that like and that subscribe and that bell button. We aren't that far now from 1,000 subscribers, so thank you very much for that firstly. So I wanted to discuss the West Ham game. So yeah, very disappointing. Didn't cope with balls in the air, crosses in the air. Nobody marked Zuma. Defensively, yeah, very poor. Bad day at the office. However, we are seeing it resurface again about Gary O'Neill, and a lot of fans kicking Gary O'Neill and turning around and saying that Gary needs to go. I just don't get it. I don't get it because it's one poor result. Yes, it wasn't very good. Yes, we got beat 4-0 at home, but West Ham have really picked up. They've picked up form in quite a considerable way. For anybody who did see bits of their game against Ghent during midweek, will actually know, yeah, they're a good side. They're a good side who are starting to really improve. So personally, I would say, we need to move on from this. We need to get ready for the Southampton game. Of course, Sellers was in the crowd as well, the Southampton manager. So, he will have seen that and seen where our weaknesses are. So we need to plug those. And I think that's what Gary will be working on first thing this morning and his team. But I want to make some more comments about this Gary O'Neill, because I've seen the words nauseating, I've seen clueless, PE teacher, clown again. I just don't like the whole atmosphere at the moment at Dean Court, because I think personally, Gary has done a very good job. We are, and yes, I do get, and somebody made a very good point on our free-for-all yesterday. The Premier League is somewhere that isn't really the best place for a rookie manager to earn their stripes. I completely agree with that, and I don't. Maybe things could have been a bit different, maybe, but then again, you tell me, and I tell you what, leave in the comments of this video, if you're brave enough, who would have been better to put in charge and why. And what would have happened? And what would the results be? Where would we be sat in the table if that person was in charge? Because there's no guarantees in football at all. Marcelo Bielsa could have come in. He could have absolutely flopped. We could have already been relegated back to the Championship. Knutson, Kajil Knutson, Bodo Glimt, he might have come in. He might have really struggled with the transition to the Premier League. Might have been relegated. I've always said Carlos Corberán. I've been, a big fan of his, but there's no guarantees that would have worked either. There's no guarantees that Gary O'Neill would have worked. There's no guarantees that Pep Guardiola would have worked with this side. Okay, you'd expect something to work in that last sense, but at the same time, there's no guarantees in football. And personally, I think he's done a good job. I think, the recent results, has anybody forgot, the recent results against Spurs, against Fulham, against Leicester, a 6-pointer. Those sort of games are the games where we, have really shone. Gary's got it spot on. He is going to make mistakes. He did make mistakes earlier in the season. The Tottenham game, the Leeds game, those were mistakes. But not now. Yes, we've been beaten 4-0. It's disappointing. But, you look at, one of the comments I saw was comparing to the backroom team at West Ham. David Moyes was in charge in getting Everton to 4th in the league when Gary O'Neill was still playing. Let that sink in for a moment. Mark Noble, has been West Ham all his life. He's got West Ham ingrained in his blood. Again, let that sink in. He's works with Moyes. He knows how Moyes works. Kevin Nolan, he's been a manager. Again, let that sink in. These people at West Ham, West Ham have underachieved this season. From watching that yesterday, West Ham were very good. And I was lucky enough to speak to Tony Cottee about that. And Tony Cottee was completely open and honest. And he turned around and said Gary O'Neill's doing a good job. And I seem to agree with Tony Cottee because, he's been there, he's done that, he's got the T-shirt. I agree with Jamie Carragher, I agree with Sam Matterface, I agree with all these pundits who are saying Gary O'Neill is doing a decent job. I expected us to be close to the relegation zone, if not in it at this stage of the season. We're not. We've got a fighting chance of staying up. Well, we've got more than a fighting chance of staying up. If the bottom three don't win any of their games, which they will do. But take that, we would be staying in the Premier League for next season, and then we can rebuild. As it happens, we've probably only got to get about 4 or 5 points to actually stay in the Premier League and have that guaranteed. So I can't see those bottom 3 at the moment. I can't see the bottom 5 potentially getting, another. I can't see them getting to 38, especially with the form that Leeds are in. I can't see him getting there. So Gary O'Neill has done a very, very good job. And this is a tough Premier League. Look at the sides that are down there. Everton haven't been relegated out of the Premier League since 1952. Leeds, a decent side, have done well. Marcelo Bielsa built them up. And, of course, Jesse Marsch did a good job. They're all fallen apart now. Southampton's been up there since 2013. So there we are. Probably even a little bit longer than that. Forest, yes, they've spent a lot of money. But, they've spent more than we have. And there's another sign. A lot of people were comparing us to Brentford and Brighton as well. I saw one of the tweets as well with regards to that. That's the end game. That's the end goal. We'd like to be like Brighton and Brentford. Hopefully we'll get to that point at some point in the future. But maybe not now. That takes a lot of work. We need to sort our academy out. We need to... they're 2 very different styles. And, we can certainly explore those 2 different styles as well. But... that's something that will take a lot of work and a lot of hard in the background. You won't see that on the pitch straight away. Brighton and Brentford have been working on that for years. Other clubs have been working on that for years. So it's something that we will start and we will need to start. And hopefully Jim Favola and Bill Foley and the team will actually look at that and go, right, okay, that's the model that we want to replicate, and do that. Because Brighton sign players for very little, have got scouts dotted around the world and bring those players in and then sell them off at a huge profit. You've got Brentford, who have got a different model. They've got a Brentford B team. They can attract those sort of players, that maybe other teams can't. And they've got a unique setup as well. But Gary O'Neill is doing a very, very good job. That is personally what I think. This is a blip in the road. Everybody has been saying it to us. This toxic... Bournemouth fans aren't toxic, normally. And it's so disappointing. And I hope, this message kind of drills down and says, look, let's get behind the boys. We've got 6 games left. If we get, a decent return of points... If we get those 5 points, I think we'll be staying in the Premier League. And that is everybody's aim. What happens with Gary O'Neill should wait until the end of the season, but everybody should back him until that point. That's from me. Please hit the like, the subscribe, go on to Up the Cherries and All Departments, do the same there. And I shall see you in the next video.